It's not the embargo, Bernie. It's the psychopaths, stupid. And I know I'm not going to change anybody's minds by insulting them, and much less someone like Bernie Sanders, who at his age, after all these years as a senator and working for the government, if someone like Bernie Sanders does not want to admit that the Cuban government is run by psychopaths, murderous psychopaths. Yeah, I don't know who else, how you can convince people like that. And yet that's part of the whole point of this video. I think one thing that a lot of people seem to miss of the Bernie Sanderses of the world is that Cuba isn't in the situation it's in because of the US embargo. Though I will agree we need to get rid of the travel embargo in terms of because there's apparently many parts to the embargo and the traveling to Cuba. I get it. Don't want to put money into the dictatorship's pockets, but if we're going to call ourselves the land of the free and the home of the brave, we can't be restricting our rights here either in the United States. And I do wonder if by allowing people to freely travel to Cuba, if there would have been a greater chance of taking down that cancerous regime. But it's already been over, it's almost 60 years now that the Castro regime has been in total power over that country. And that's something else I really wish more people understood, especially people who are progressives and people who give socialism just, you're giving it way too much benefit of the doubt. Please understand not only basic economics, that everything has a cost and nothing can be, you can't just give things away for free. But aside from that, when these dictatorships take over, they are, I wouldn't say impossible to remove, but it becomes very difficult to remove that dictatorship. And the longer the dictatorship remains, and the more people, one generation after another, grows up under that dictatorship, now you're almost breeding a submissive nature in people. Because obviously, the people who have ambition and who want to do good, who want to create, who want to innovate, they usually find themselves leaving, especially if they're decent human beings and they don't want to kill other people in order to take down that dictatorship. And the ones that remain behind, I'm not judging. I have family over there, and I know it's very easy for me to sit here and make my little YouTube video and just expound and pontificate. But this message needs to be out there from anyone and everyone possible. Today, I went to this one rally here in Miami, a rally for Cuba, and you feel that emotional bond with other people, and not just because they're Cubans too. It's not just my people. This is not Cuba versus the United States. This is a human issue, and you really feel that bond. You really feel that camaraderie. I want to be careful with using the word comrade, but yeah, and something needs to be done now. I don't know what can we do. Military intervention that a lot of people were calling for over at this rally. I don't think that's a good idea either. And unless you're willing to go risk your life over there, it's, don't be calling for military intervention unless you're willing to participate in that. And I'm not. I think the other thing is the Cuban people, they're going to need to fight for that freedom. And again, easy for me to say. I don't live there. I didn't go through what my grandfather went through. Not my great-great-grandfather, no, my dad's dad, who fought in the real Revolutionary War of Cuba back in 1895. Got lost out at sea, fought alongside people like Jose Marti, or at least he plotted with him, because anyway, but unless you're Cuban, you wouldn't care who the hell Jose Marti is. And that's another thing I understand. Most people don't care about Cuba. Other than the mojitos and salsa dancing and all that, most people don't care. But it's an unfortunate example of how nations go down, especially when people are deceived. People like my own mother, who was put in a forced labor camp after supporting Castro, after thinking that it might work. It didn't. A lot of people were deceived. And And I see that here in the United States. I see a lot, way too many people. People like Bernie Sanders, who's a senator, who came very close, this close to the presidency, still always excusing the Castro regime. Saying that they did have free healthcare and free education. The struggle continues. And I don't want to get too emotional and way too angry, but that level of misinformation, someone like Bernie Sanders, it's got to be one of two things. Either you are dangerously misinformed about how those things work, which I find very hard to believe. He's not an idiot. Or you are disinforming people. And maybe it's not so much that you're just dangerously misinformed. You're just hopelessly naive. You're delusionally hopeful that something like that can work, and it never does. How do you not understand this? How do you not understand the basic economics that everything has a cost? You can't just go around giving things away for free. Things will run out. And then when I also see stories like from Newsweek and Al Jazeera, who are reporting like, oh, these rare anti-government protests, which I'm glad they're covering it. They're covering it, and that's good. But there's a reason why a lot of people, you don't hear about many of the protests in Cuba. And it's a shame. The fact that protests are rare in Cuba, it's not because people are happy with with that murderous regime in charge. It's that, unfortunately, first and foremost, it's just the nature of most people. Most people don't like conflict. Most people, they avoid confrontation. So there's that. And yeah, it's really hard to revolt when you don't have guns. And that's what's happening right now with many Cubans. They're being beaten. And what I don't know if news agencies like Al Jazeera and Newsweek just haven't seen it or whatnot, but chances are people are also being stabbed. That it's known that the regime does that. And by the regime, I'm talking about the milicianos as well as the police. And here's some of the things that you can't blame on the embargo. The acts of repudiation. For people who don't know what that is, los actos de repudio. When you have a lot of people showing up at your house trying to shame you for either finding out that you want to leave the country or just even the suspicion that you might be anti-revolutionary. The mental games that are played with Cubans as well as North Koreans. You pick your dictatorship around the planet. It's just sickening. And it's just as sickening to see people who you would think would know better. Anyway, more people need to understand this socialism does not work the way you think it does, number one. And the governments that try to make socialism possible are usually run by psychopaths. Not usually, almost always. Fidel Castro wasn't forced into communism. He wasn't forced into a dictatorship. Actions speak louder than words. If you care, inform yourself on the history of how he took over Cuba, which, by the way, it's not like he fought guerrilla warfare. There was any fighting between him and Batista. Got lucky that Batista just took off. And people still see this man as a hero when he was a psychopath from the very beginning. And just look at the people who fought alongside him, how he betrayed them. One of them, Camilo Cienfuegos, guy disappeared in a plane crash. Che Guevara, who's no one to be admired, but whatever. That guy also, hey, you play with fire, you're gonna get burned, and off to Bolivia to, I don't know, try to create 1,000 Vietnams is what he said that he was going to do. And he got set up to be killed. Bottom line is, I really wish the best for the people who are fighting in Cuba right now. And I can only hope that once and for all this regime falls and it doesn't languish on like what's going on in Venezuela. That it just doesn't become this festering cancer of a dictatorship that just continues trundling along. Anyway, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and most importantly, try to inform as many people as possible that these are psychopaths that need to be identified, and more importantly, they need to be taken down. Thanks for watching.